In a distant land, nestled between rolling hills and ancient forests, there stood a grand kingdom ruled by a king whose heart was as vast as his realm. The castle, perched atop a hill, overlooked villages bustling with life, fields golden with harvest, and rivers that shimmered in the morning sun. Yet, within the stone walls of his mighty fortress, the king's mind was restless, filled with questions that no treasure or advisor could answer. This thoughtful king, beloved by his people, longed not just for greatness, but for true wisdom. He wished to be the best ruler he could possibly be, to guide his kingdom with fairness and compassion, and to ensure that every decision he made would bring prosperity and joy to his subjects. Night after night, he paced the echoing halls of his castle, pondering the mysteries of leadership. He became obsessed with three questions that seemed simple, yet held the weight of the world within them. The first question haunted him. When is the best time to act? Was it better to wait for the perfect moment, or to seize opportunities as they arose? He wondered if timing alone could shape the fate of his people. The second question tugged at his heart. Who are the most important people? Was it his loyal advisors, the brave knights, or the humble villagers who toiled in the fields? He realized that every person in his kingdom played a role, but he yearned to know whose voices mattered most in moments of decision. The third question challenged his very purpose. What is the most important thing to do? Should he focus on building grand monuments, waging wars for glory, or simply ensuring the happiness and well-being of his people? The king knew that the answer to this question would define his legacy. The king believed that if he could find the answers to these three questions, he would never fail. His kingdom would flourish, and his people would live in peace and harmony. He imagined a future where every action he took was guided by certainty and wisdom. These questions consumed his thoughts, shaping every decision he made and fueling his relentless quest for understanding. He spent countless hours in his study, poring over ancient texts and seeking counsel from the wisest minds in the land, but the answers remained elusive. He began to realize that wisdom could not be found in solitude alone. The king started to look beyond the castle walls, observing the daily lives of his people, hoping that their simple joys and struggles might hold the key to his questions. He saw his search not as a pursuit of power or glory, but as a journey to ensure peace, happiness, and justice for all who lived under his rule. The king's heart swelled with hope as he imagined a kingdom where every person felt valued and every moment was cherished. With newfound determination, the king resolved that he would not rest until he discovered the truth. He prepared himself for a journey, knowing that the answers he sought might lie far beyond the familiar comforts of his home. And so, with hope in his heart and questions in his mind, the king set forth on a quest that would not only change his life, but also the fate of his entire kingdom forever. The king's quest was driven by a deep fear of failure. He dreamed of a life where every decision was perfect, every action flawless. If he knew the right time, he'd never miss an opportunity. If he knew the right people, he'd never be misled. The right action, he believed, would give his life purpose and focus. These three answers, he thought, would form a triangle of certainty, protecting him from regret and error. The promise of never failing was more precious than gold or power. The king was willing to do anything to achieve this legendary wisdom. His search became a quest not just for himself, but for the future of his entire kingdom. Determined, the king proclaimed a challenge across his land. Anyone who could answer his three questions would receive a great reward. The news spread quickly, sparking excitement and debate in every village and city. Scholars, priests, soldiers, and commoners all prepared their answers, eager for fortune and favor. The king's quest became a national conversation, uniting the kingdom in a search for meaning. As the castle gates opened, the king waited, hopeful that wisdom would soon arrive. The castle filled with advisors, each offering wildly different answers. Some insisted on strict planning, others trusted intuition or counsels of wise men. For the second question, some valued ministers, others priests, doctors, or soldiers. On the third, opinions clashed: science, military strength, or religious devotion. The king listened to every answer, but none felt universal or true. Instead of clarity, he found only confusion and doubt. The simple truth he sought remained elusive. Disheartened, the king realized wisdom might not be found in grand halls or learned men. He heard of a hermit in the woods, famed for his quiet wisdom and refusal to meet the powerful. Disguised as a peasant, the king journeyed alone, leaving behind his royal trappings. The peaceful forest calmed him, and he felt humility for the first time. Arriving at the hermit's hut, he found the old man digging in his garden. The king greeted him and asked his 3 questions. The hermit listened silently, then returned to his digging. The king waited uncertain as the hermit offered no reply. The search for answers had taken a new, unexpected turn. The king, having traveled far in search of answers to his deepest questions, found himself in the company of a frail, old hermit. The hermit, bent with age and fatigue, struggled to dig the hard earth in his small garden. Watching the hermit's trembling hands and slow movements, the king felt a surge of empathy. Without hesitation, he stepped forward and offered to help dig, setting aside his royal dignity and pride. The simple act of offering his strength to another brought a quiet sense of humility to the king's heart. The hermit looked up, his eyes filled with gratitude, and nodded silently. The king took the shovel and began to work the stubborn soil, sweat beading on his brow. Each shovelful of earth felt like a small victory, and as he worked, the king felt a sense of purpose he hadn't known in his palace. The hermit watched quietly, his appreciation evident in the gentle smile that creased his weathered face. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky with hues of gold and crimson, the king paused to catch his breath. He turned to the hermit, hoping to finally receive the wisdom he had come so far to seek. With earnest eyes, he pressed the hermit for answers to his questions about life and leadership. But the hermit remained silent, simply nodding and gesturing for the king to rest. The king felt a growing impatience, but also a strange peace in the quiet companionship. Suddenly the peaceful evening was shattered. From the edge of the forest, a wounded man stumbled into view, clutching his side and bleeding heavily. His face was twisted in pain, and his steps were unsteady as he staggered toward the king and the hermit, desperate for help. Instinctively, the king rushed to the stranger's side. He tore strips from his own robe to bandage the man's wound, his hands steady despite the urgency. The hermit watched, his eyes reflecting both concern and approval, as the king focused all his attention on saving the injured man. The king worked tirelessly, his mind consumed by the task at hand. He forgot his royal status, his quest for wisdom, and even the questions that had brought him here. All that mattered was the life before him, fragile and in need of care. The world around him faded away as he poured his energy into helping the wounded stranger. Saving the man became his only concern. Every moment was spent tending to the wound, offering water, and whispering words of comfort. The king's compassion and determination shone through, revealing a side of him that few had ever seen. As night fell and the air grew cold, the king stayed by the stranger's side, refusing to rest. He supported the man, keeping him warm and safe, his own fatigue forgotten in the face of another's suffering. The hermit, too, remained close, quietly assisting where he could. In those long hours, the king's heart was filled with deep concern and empathy. He realized that in this moment, nothing mattered more than the life he was trying to save. The king's own needs and ambitions faded into the background, replaced by a profound sense of responsibility and care. The king's quest for wisdom was set aside, replaced by the urgent call of kindness and compassion. In helping the wounded man, the king discovered a new kind of wisdom, one that could only be found in selfless action and genuine care for another. Sometimes, the answers we seek come not from words, but from the unexpected interruptions that call us to serve. By morning, the wounded man awoke and revealed a shocking truth. He was the king's sworn enemy, once plotting revenge for past wrongs. The man confessed he'd planned to kill the king, but instead, the king had saved his life. Grateful and transformed, the man pledged loyalty and begged forgiveness. The king, astonished, realized he had turned an enemy into a friend through compassion. The events of the night took on a deeper meaning. The king's actions had changed not just a life, but a heart. The lesson was clear. Mercy could achieve what force never could. The king's journey was leading him to answers he hadn't expected. The king forgave his former enemy, promising care and the restoration of his property. This act of grace brought peace where there had been hatred. The king felt a new lightness in his heart, understanding the power of mercy. He sought out the hermit one last time, sensing that his quest was nearing its end. The hermit, now planting seeds, greeted the king with a gentle smile. The world felt fresh and new, as if ready for the wisdom the king had been seeking. The answers were finally within reach, not as theories, but as lived experience. The hermit looked at the king with a gentle smile and said, "Your questions have already been answered, though perhaps not in the way you expected." The king, still uncertain, listened closely, eager to understand the deeper meaning behind the hermit's words. The morning sun cast a golden glow over the clearing, and the air was filled with a quiet sense of anticipation. The hermit explained, "The most important time is always now, this very moment. When you helped me dig the earth, when you cared for the wounded man, you were living in the present, doing what was needed most. The past is gone, and the future is uncertain. All we truly have is the present, and it is in this moment that we shape our lives and the lives of others." The most important person, the hermit continued, is the one you are with right now. Whether it is a friend, a stranger, or even someone you may not know well, that person deserves your full attention and care. In each encounter, we are given a chance to connect, to listen, and to make a difference, no matter how small. And the most important thing, the hermit said softly, is to do good for the person before you. Acts of kindness, no matter how simple, ripple outward and touch lives in ways we may never fully see. When you offer help, comfort, or understanding, you are fulfilling your highest purpose in that moment. The king listened, and slowly the meaning became clear. The answers he sought were not about controlling fate or predicting what would come. Instead, they were about embracing the present, being mindful of those around him, and choosing to act with compassion and courage, no matter the circumstance. True wisdom, the hermit revealed, is not hidden in complex riddles or distant tomorrows. It is found in the simple acts of kindness we offer, the attention we give to the present, and the care we show to those before us. These are the things that shape our character and give our lives meaning. We often spend our days chasing certainty, worrying about what might happen, or regretting what is past. But our real power, the hermit taught, lies in what we choose to do right now. Every moment is an opportunity to make a difference, to show love, and to live with purpose. The king's journey had given him the wisdom he sought, not as a set of rules or a formula, but as a way of living each day. He understood now that greatness is not measured by power or wealth, but by the kindness we show and the presence we bring to each moment. This story reminds us all, the path to a meaningful life is found in compassion, in being truly present, and in doing good whenever we can. These simple truths are timeless, guiding us through uncertainty and helping us find peace in our hearts. This is the secret to a life where we never fail at what truly matters, to be kind, to be present, and to do good. In these moments, we discover the wisdom that endures through all ages.